I want to share a story that happened to me personally. The thing is, I never believed in the supernatural or unexplained phenomena. I thought it was all nonsense, made up by people with vivid imaginations. But as the saying goes, you don't believe in it until it happens to you. And in this case, even a staunch skeptic like me was forced to reconsider. What happened made me think that maybe something mystical does exist in our world. So, I went to visit my dear older brother in the village. I hadn't seen him for a whole year and missed him terribly. Andrew and I were best friends since childhood. We shared our secrets, got into mischief together, and also got major scoldings from our father together. Ah, nostalgia. Unfortunately, our father is no longer with us. He died of lung cancer. So my brother took on the role of my mentor. Anna, don't smoke so much. Anna, don't go out at night. Anna, I don't like your boyfriend. Break up with him. Anna, why did you cut your curls? Now grow them back. Anna, you're still a child. Anna, you're an adult now, but you still act like a child. You're studying to be a pathologist? That's awful. After every such conversation, we'd have a fight, and I'd sit in the gazebo, smoking to calm down. So, this time we had another argument about I don't like your boyfriend, and I went to the gazebo, as usual, to calm my frayed nerves. I'm sitting there smoking. I don't want to go back inside, where that crappy mentor is probably preparing another lecture. I'm enjoying the nature and the taste of my smelly cigarettes. Pure bliss. Birds are chirping. The neighbor is chatting about something. My brother is calling. My brother is calling? What does he want? I'm not speaking to him. Anna, I think. Yeah, right, like I'm going to jump up and run to him. Anna! Curly, what do you want? I'm not talking to you. I hate when he calls me that. Only our parents called me that when they were alive. It triggers a wave of nostalgia, and I get unbearably sad. I think only those who have lost their parents will understand me. Come home. Now! Now that's just rude. What the hell is going on with him? I don't let anyone raise their voice at me. Anticipating another argument, I get up from the bench, leave the gazebo, and head towards the house. A massive crash behind me makes me turn around. Where the gazebo stood just moments ago, there were now boards with nails sticking out, logs. By the way, I forgot to mention that there was a small shed next to the gazebo, packed to the brim with sticks and logs for the bathhouse. And imagine the shock I felt when I saw it all, and realized what could have happened if I hadn't moved and stayed in the gazebo. All I could think was that I needed to tell my brother that thanks to him, I'm still alive. A small, skinny girl like me would have been crushed to a pulp, and they would have buried me in a closed coffin. What an ungraceful death. I run into the house. No one's there. I don't like this. I hear my brother swearing up a storm outside and run there. I see him standing next to the ruins. I approach him, throw myself around his neck, and start hysterically whispering, smearing my tears and snot all over his shirt. Andrew! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you so much! My brother, shocked by my reaction, said, What's wrong with you? After I told him what had happened, my brother looked at me like I was an idiot and gave his verdict. I see you've completely fried your brains with all that smoking. I told you I was going to the neighbors to fix the fence. I wasn't home. I just got back and saw that the gazebo and shed were destroyed. I almost crapped myself from fear, thinking you were crushed under there, but then I saw you in the window. Then who was calling me if it wasn't you? I was genuinely shocked. Maybe you imagined it? My brother suggested. But you know, people are right when they say, just because you don't believe in something, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I'm really curious about who was calling me if no one was in the house at that moment. Story number 2. Marina. Marina and I had been friends for several years. People like her are often described as the life of the party. She was an easygoing, cheerful, and open young woman. She lived with her mother. She had everything: her own apartment, a car, a good and beloved job. The only thing she lacked for complete happiness was a child. So she decided, as they say, to have a baby for herself. For about 2 years, she unsuccessfully tried to get pregnant, even sought medical treatment. Finally, At the age of 28, she became pregnant. Do I need to explain how happy she was? Even the fact that her job threatened to fire her didn't bother her at all. The pregnancy was progressing easily. Marina was preparing for childbirth, attending maternity courses, and buying things for the baby. But in the 8th month, strange things started happening to her. At least they seemed strange to me. Here are a couple of examples. Marina called me and said, "Could you please bring me a letter? The postman put it in your mailbox." We lived in the same building, I on the 9th floor, and she on the 12th. I went down to the 1st floor and met the postwoman there, who was just about to put Marina's letter in my mailbox. Marina explained the incident like this: "I don't know. It seemed to me that it had been lying there for a long time. I went to visit my grandmother in another town for a week. Marina drove me to the station. On the way, she said, 'Say hi to Andre for me.' Andre was my grandmother's neighbor. 9 years ago, he had been jailed for murder. He was sentenced to 15 years. So, he still had about 6 years left to serve." "Which Andre? Vetrov? What? He still has 6 years left to serve." "Really? I thought he had already been released." Marina said this calmly and detachedly. Well, a week later, when I was heading back home, I met Andre at the station. He had just arrived. Even his mother didn't know that he had been released early on parole. I was already halfway home with less than 4 hours of travel left when Aunt Nadia, Marina's mother, called me with a trembling voice and said, "She's in the maternity ward. Her water broke. It broke too early. The baby will be premature, born at 8 months." I got off the train and went straight to Marina's home. Aunt Nadia called the maternity ward every half hour. The answer was always the same: "She hasn't delivered yet." We couldn't put our phones down, waiting for Marina to call. In the evening, I decided to call her myself, but her phone was turned off. I stayed with Aunt Nadia overnight. We went to bed late, around 3 a.m. We were awakened by the ringing of the phone. The screen displayed, "Daughter!" Aunt Nadia cried out with joy. "Marina is calling. She must have delivered. Hello? Daughter, how are you? Did you give birth?" I stood next to Aunt Nadia and could hear Marina's voice. "Mom, I'm fine really, don't worry. Bring me the dress, the new one we bought together." "What dress?" "Who did you give birth to?" "A girl. Name her Angelina." And she hung up. Aunt Nadia and I exchanged glances. Holding back tears, she asked, "Name her? What do you mean, name her?" I shrugged and suggested calling Marina back, but her phone was already turned off. By the way, Marina had planned to name her daughter something completely different. She wanted to name her Ksenia. We called the maternity ward. A girl, with a dry and indifferent voice, replied, "Marina Kotova? Let me check. Please hold." A couple of minutes later, she answered, "A girl. Weight 3,800 grams, height 54 centimeters. The baby is fine. And Marina? Everything's fine. Come in the morning." But half an hour later, the doctor called and informed us that Marina had died. Aunt Nadia named her granddaughter Angelina as Marina had requested. Marina was buried in the new dress she had bought shortly before the birth. The dress fit her perfectly, even though she had bought it without trying it on, being 7 months pregnant. She laughed and said that after the birth, she would only wear that dress.